What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy with HawgSports coming to you from midfield on the sideline at Razorback Stadium after Arkansas's 52-7 win over the Alabama A&M Bulldogs Saturday night. 2025 season opener. The walk and talk is built by Sutherlands. I have probably been to more press conferences, more practices than anybody not directly employed or enrolled at the University of Arkansas. And for the past 2 weeks, I've been saying I have no idea what this team is going to do. I cannot put my finger on it. I can't get a pulse for this program. And usually, every year, even if I'm wrong, I'm pretty confident in what they're going to do, even if I'm wrong. So I guess it's fitting that I would say they would go 52-10 in this game and was only 3 points off. And I actually said at halftime it would be no worse, even if disaster struck, I said it would be no worse than 35-7. And it was 31-7. The main things I wanted to see was no turnovers. I wanted to see a very limited amount of procedure penalties, because that sometimes happens in openers. Only 2 procedural penalties. 3 penalties total. They also had a holding penalty. The only thing that was really disappointing was the way that the first team defense came out. And you look at social media and it's like everybody expected them to be 35-0 after one possession or something, which obviously is impossible. But there's a little bit of a trend going on here with the defense, because I saw the same thing. I didn't see, just the reports, I guess, because they didn't let us watch the scrimmages. But the first scrimmage, the number 2 offense versus the number 1 defense, they marched down and scored. I think Cam Settle scored a touchdown on that one. And then the number 1 defense shut them out the whole rest of the way. Second scrimmage, 63-yard touchdown pass to Monte Harrison on the first drive. And then number 1 defense shut them out the rest of the way. This game right here, they march down the field, don't even see a third down, and score like they're Swiss cheese. And then they shut them out the rest of the game. So against other teams that are better quality, even Arkansas State next week, you can't do that. You can't allow that kind of momentum. So they've got to get it figured out. And Sam Pittman even said, there's not a correlation, because this was different. This was mental errors, probably some kind of miscommunication or something like that. So they've got to get that figured out, something on the back end. That, to me, was the main disappointing thing. And I'd also mention, because Arkansas beat UAPB last year 70-0 and scored on every single possession, I think some people thought that that's what this team was. And this team isn't like a team anywhere close to some of the teams that Arkansas is going to face this season, really any other team that they're going to face. But it's also not UAPB last year. They beat them 52-24 or something last season and went 6-6 and 4-4 in the SWAC. So a little better team. So I think, a 52-10 outcome, which I predicted, was maybe a little bit more realistic. But the way it started, if that touchdown drive had happened at any other point in the game, I think people would probably be feeling a little bit different. Talon Green, you got to give a lot of props to Talon. I mean, there were some very close plays where you could just see the acceleration and picking up first downs with his legs when he had to. Throwing the ball, he was very accurate. And the only thing that was disappointing, and I wouldn't put this on him necessarily, but I know it's something that they've really focused on. You get in scoring territory, you're in field goal range, and you take a 10-yard sack. It always seems like you take these long sacks and you go from a 43-yard field goal that's easily makeable to a 53-yard field goal. In steps Scott Starzik, number 1 ranked kicker prospect in the country coming out of high school last year. And 53 yards right down the middle with room to spare. That was encouraging to see. Devin Bale kicked the ball. You had some kind of funky thing happen over here where they're trying to worm it down the field, worm burn it, and it hits dude, and Devin Bale scoops it up. That's lucky. Lucky on special teams. That's cool. That's good to see. Cam Shanks had maybe a couple he should have fair caught, especially that first one where he got drilled pretty good. I understand he's wanting to make a play, but it's also encouraging that he did make the fair catch and held on to the ball. So overall, special teams was a positive. I think only 2 punts today. Special teams was a positive. I'd also like to tell you a little bit more about our friends over at Sutherlands, because they've got barns, hunting lodges, barndominiums, garages. They can build you just about anything you're looking for. And you can reach out to them at 1-800-66-BARNS and get a free quote. So what can you expect from these guys? Quality, expertise, peace of mind that they're going to get you in the right building. And you guys know I like local, and there's nothing more local than Sutherlands. It's a family-owned business since 1917. I know a couple of those guys went to the University of Arkansas. You probably didn't know that. You probably didn't know that if you shop at Sutherlands, you also support Razorback fans. They also have barn shell kits. 2 to 6 weeks, you'll be getting that thing fitted out for, the more budget-minded people out there. But for 100 years, Sutherlands has been helping folks build it better. And you can reach out to them also at Sutherlands.com, get a free estimate. So go check out our friends, and they've got tons of other stuff, obviously. But we certainly appreciate Sutherlands recognizing the work we do and sponsoring this walk and talk, which is built by Sutherlands. So, special teams, check. Good work by the special teams unit. Offense, there were some moments here and there, like, you would have liked to have seen maybe some more running lanes open up, but you're also got a team that's run blitzing you. And I can remember something about Bobby Petrino. This is from years ago. They were playing somebody and had a bunch of running plays and didn't pack up a bunch of yards, and it was a team kind of on this similar type of category. And he was like, yeah, when you got a team that's run blitzing, I probably should have just thrown it every down, but I'm stubborn. And you want to get some work, and that's good work for them too. A team that's just blitzing over and over and over again, playing zero coverage on you, to be able to get that kind of look, it should make them better. But the main things that, overall it was pretty clean. And I do think people thought that, again, they should just beat them 70-0. But if that first drive the defense gave up, which isn't something that you should excuse, that's something that you should be like, the coaches should be in the film rooms like, what the hell is this? What are you trying to hand me here with this? And I know that's probably what they got. They probably didn't focus a whole lot on the positives. I know they didn't have a club dub down here. So we'll see what happens next week. We're going to find out a lot more about this team each week. Each week we'll find out more, from Arkansas State next week to Ole Miss in Oxford. And that's going to be the big one. Can you get everything worked out, all the kinks and everything? Because Ole Miss can throw the ball, and there's some things on defense that you got to take a look at. Would have liked to see better defensive line play, but guys, that's what we've talked about this whole time, is concerns about the defensive line. And obviously you've got some guys like Cam Ball, obviously, and Quincy Rhodes, but you just wonder about the overall depth. Can they get a pass rush? It took them a long time to get into the backfield and get a sack. That quarterback went 5 of 5 to open the game. He finished 0 of 7 to end the game. I think he was like one of his last 10 or something like that. And then the guy that they replaced him with, wasn't very effective either. Couldn't ask for a better day. Goodness gracious, it's 70-something degrees right now. My watch is about to die. But it's 70-something degrees. It was a great day for college football. Good crowd for this type of opponent also. Should be fun in Little Rock next week also. What else do we want to discuss here, guys? Taylon Green. There were plays that like that play that he made where he's rolling out of the pocket and hits C.J. Brown. C.J. Brown, guys, after everything that guy's been through, he had a couple touchdown catches, which he dedicated to his dad. Rest in peace. That was really cool to see. Omega Blake, are we calling him the Alpha? Are we calling him Omegatron? I've heard a couple of things like that. Is it too early? Might be a little bit early, but he certainly had a really good game. I thought he was very impressive overall. Mike Washington showed some speed, especially on that 30-yard. Mike Washington had 2 big plays on one drive. How y'all doing? Had 2 big plays on one drive towards the end of the game. What do you have, a 30-yard run and then the touchdown catch for 27 yards. But, he's going to be their go-to back. And we got to see Braylon Russell get quite a bit, pretty good load in the middle part of the game. Who else? Shakir Smalls, had a small window of when he was, on the field a lot. And he made a lot of plays. He had a strip sack. He had a really big hit. To me, he showed up quite a bit. And I think that's something that you look for also with this team, because, you come out of camp, you think you've got this or that, and you don't really know sometimes you can go into a game. And a lot of teams are dealing with that at quarterback. Arkansas is fortunate that they know what they have in Taylon Green. So a lot of teams, named a starting quarterback out of camp, and they get to a game, they realize, this isn't the guy. This isn't the guy for us, and it ends up being a backup. But Arkansas has that. But at other positions, you find that kind of stuff out. Like that defensive tackle, I'm sure you'll go back and review, how like an Ian Gerfard or Danny Saili or Keyshawn Blackstock, how they look next to Cam Ball. Defensive end, we saw, coming out of the press conference you had, on Monday's press conference, it was Justice Boone. He was going to be the starting end opposite Quincy Rhodes. Today it was Charlie Collins. And we saw Phillip Lee, all three of those guys. So who's your top guy at that other end spot? Another question to ask. Xavier Sori said he feels like he's got a lot of work to do. Feels like he didn't play up to his standard. Again, the defense overall, like once they got going, and I'm sure that, they had run those same 10 plays on that first scoring drive. I'm sure they've run those plays over and over and over again in that exact same order. But that's no reason that Arkansas, against a team like that, that's really outmatched, should have let them march down like that. To me, that's the one discouraging thing about this game, how that played out. I mean, I would have liked to have seen the offense score a touchdown every time, sure, but it's not always realistic. So, one game in the books. Can't believe the season's finally here. I want to thank all of you people for watching the Walk and Talk. Obviously, it's amazing that so many people watch it and like it. Even when I don't think it's any good, and you seem to like it. So I appreciate all of you for that. Go check out our friends at Sutherlands, Sutherlands.com. Get a free estimate. I know you've been thinking about a barndominium. Everybody kind of fantasizes. If you're a guy, I know you kind of fantasize about a barndominium. So, got to get our endurance up a little bit climbing all these steps, but we will. All right, everybody. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. First Walk and Talk in the books, built by Sutherlands. And we'll catch you next time.